I was apprehensive at first for, I think, all the right adult reasons. So the adult reasons would be not being able to keep up with family. I talk to my kids a lot on there. And my apprehensions were, I would like to consider mature, right? It wasn't like, oh my God, people are going to see the new things that I bought today. It's me genuinely keeping in touch with people.
Yeah.
And I could try to tell myself that, oh, it's okay. I'll text them and stuff like that. But to be honest with you, we've gotten so used to social media that is our primary method of communication nowadays, whether people want to admit it or not. And the other part is like, it's like we discussed this before. We're going back to hieroglyphics.
Yep.
Where everything is emojis and memes, and it's not even our own words anymore. So, but I would brighten people's day. They brighten mine. I'd see all this stuff, and I try to stay off of all the political weird, what do they call it? Cryptic, people put out a message and you're just like, oh, I wonder what's going on with their lives.
Mm-hmm.
I had to get away from that. And so I finally made a decision, and, I made a little post. I try not to be too dramatic about it.
Yeah.
Where, just, hey, I'm jumping off here for a little bit for all the right reasons.
Yeah.
Picked up some more work at EY. I'm back in college. Doing certificate courses, everything to just kind of better myself. And it was weird at first, going throughout the day, and it's kind of embarrassing to admit, and I think everybody does it, but something cool happens in your life, you're like, oh, I can't wait to post this on, oh wait, I'm not on social media.
Yeah.
So you get over that. And I had a discussion with Sarah, my wife, the other night, like 2 nights ago, and I said, life is amazing. Like, I've been able to do a lot of self-reflection. I've been able to, like, every day I appreciate what I have, because I'm not comparing myself to anybody else. I'm not looking at somebody else's accomplishments, because let's be real, social media is everybody's highlight reel.
Yeah.
Right.
You're seeing the best of the best. Yeah.
Look at all this great stuff that's happening to me. And I'm not seeing that. So I don't have some false standard of comparison. It's just me. It's Sarah. It's, so when I talk to people, I actually genuinely talk to people.
Yeah,
you can tell it's almost like I'm lonely. I was like, hey guys, I'm real gregarious now. And, but it's made me more social in person. It's made me more social, even at work, even when we're talking on a camera, I'm just been more vibrant. I don't know. So maybe you can attribute that to this detox that I've done. Maybe you can't, maybe it's like a placebo effect.
I think it is. No, so I was talking, we had like a 4.5 hour drive or whatever it was to go down to see family in Florida for my mother's birthday. And during the drive, we were just talking about a number of different things, my wife and I, and very similar type of conversation. It wasn't because I got off of social media, but the conversation was similar in the effect that as you start getting older, it's strange, and we saw this in our own adult parents and everything else in previous generations, that you end up focusing on other things. Now, it's funny, we joke that, elderly people focus on the weather or, stuff like that, but they also start focusing a hell of a lot more on politics and things that go all the way, things that don't matter. So you go all the way back to when you were a kid. All you wanted to do was ride your bike, play with your friends, and you didn't give a damn what was going on in the world.
Yeah.
You were oblivious to that, which was wonderful, right? Because no one told you that the sky was falling around you and how bad the politician was doing, or, there's a war going on in Vietnam or in, the Gulf or whatever. You were just living life at that moment.
Ignorance is bliss, right?
Right?
Yeah.
And so then all of a sudden you become, as you probably get into your 30s and 40s, you become more uber focused on what social media, I think, has done, has brought it more to the forefront, where you can't escape it because people put reels or they put videos and stuff that's out there trying to make you, hey, did you know? And it's even stuff like, oh, you shouldn't be drinking out of a plastic straw, or you shouldn't be drinking out of plastic, and you shouldn't be. I rode my damn bike behind the DDT truck spraying for mosquitoes when I was younger. I survived the generations of stuff that...
I drank out the water hose.
Yeah. Right, you drink out of the water hose, the thing that's going to kill you right now, and the whole thing. And so there were bad products. There were things around us all at that time frame. But now it's like, oh my God, I shouldn't put my onion in the plastic bag when I go to store half of it back in the refrigerator because it absorbs the plastics.
Yeah.
You know, just crazy stuff like that. They get you focused on stuff, honestly, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Social media should be a login away. You shouldn't be able to pull it up and it be instant. You should have to log in every time.
Make it painful.
Make it painful.
You have to actually consciously.
Yeah, I've seen some rules around some people that have been like trying to detox but still need to stay connected. They don't have social media on their phones.
Yeah.
They go to it at the computer. They set a timer on their phone. Timer goes off. They're done. And that's their time for the day. So it's literally like adult screen time.
Yeah. I mean, we've all done the death scrolls.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. We've all sat there and just done this. It's like driving home.
Yeah.
And then how do you get home? How do I get in my driveway?
Yeah.
Right. It's second nature. What's cool is shout out to Apple for this one, but they have this, where you can combine and you can combine all your alerts.
Yeah.
And they come to you every 2 hours. So, and I forget what the terminology is called, but that's what I did. It's a scheduled view. So, you know, when you guys are hollering and I don't get it, it's on purpose. Like I'm working, I'm focused, I'm doing stuff. And
Are you talking about like the sleep or do not disturb?
No, so there's that, right?
Yeah.
There's the focus mode.
Yeah.
So I've done that, but they've actually got it to where
you schedule notifications.
Yep. So there it is.
Yeah, you have like intermittent notifications at this point.
So like at noon, at lunchtime.
Yeah.
Go ahead and open the window.
Like 10, 12, 2, like every 2 hours. And what it also does is it forces me to kind of get up off the computer, change my spatial reference, stretch my legs, you know, feel my toes again.
You're probably seeing like, damn, Robert's on this thing all the time because I got like 100 texts from you.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Robert needs to get back into his job again. No, and what it's done is it's a twofold. Made me realize how much time I was wasting looking at stuff that was irrelevant to my life.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can, you know, dig into the minutia and figure out maybe some little tidbit was connected to me, but no, I'm not missing anything. I have zero FOMO.
Isn't it like a diet though? And because I've seen people they yo-yo, right? They say, hey, I'm coming off, man. I'm shutting down. It's been great. You know, maybe I'll get back on here. Maybe I won't. And it seems like, it depends on the person. Could be a month away, could be 3 months away, but some period of time they end up coming back on, and then they're probably more active than what they were previously.
Yeah, they're making up.
They're making up for time lost.
Yeah.
So it's like a drug as well as it's almost like a diet in which you feel like that's the course correction, but that's what you're talking about doing. And of course, you're only a month in right now, is that you figured out a way to either the things that were most important about the social media that you wanted to remain on in some ways, but you control it, or you just got off it completely.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't go on there. I've done it. I didn't go on there and delete my profiles, right? I didn't go all buck wild and, you know, screw social media and just get rid of everything. Yeah. My profiles exist. I just don't check them. And I took, you know, the apps off my phone. Kevin was talking yesterday and you know, I asked him to send me a video because I'm not on social media. And he said, no, he asked me if I was on Instagram. I said, no. He's like, all right, well, you know, I'll send it to you. Well, you know, Sarah's still on Instagram. So she pulled it up last night and I was able to watch the videos that we saw yesterday off his phone. The only difference is there was music to these as opposed to like the raw footage that he had on his phone, which is fine. I did pull up Facebook yesterday to show him my nephew, Christian, who was working in Africa doing the
Yeah, but if I'm not mistaken, you went like through the browser and went facebook.com.
Yeah.
Like it didn't go to an app.
I checked zero notifications. Yeah. I didn't do anything but type in his name, show it to him, shut it down, and I was done. And there was like, I didn't even inkling to even look at the notifications. I don't care. I really don't. Here's something very interesting, right? I used to put a lot of weight into my ability to communicate with other people on social media. Like I would almost judge how true my friendship was towards somebody based off of how often I would communicate with them without looking at it the other way around. Like how much is this person communicating with me?
Yeah.
So, and this wasn't a test. It was just like, hey, hey, everybody, I'm coming off of social media for a bit for these reasons. They make sense.
Yeah.
If you have my phone number, please, but here's my email. If you need it,
Yeah.
hit me up. 0 people. 0 people have contacted me and I have a new cell number. 0 people have contacted me on email to figure out what happened to me, where I've gone. Hey, how you doing?
They all know.
What? So all of the friends that I keep up with or acquaintances I keep up with, we're still in contact.
Yeah.
And I expected that. But other than that,
It's so funny that you say that, because the sole reason I was on anything and kept finding it, I still had flip phones. I didn't even want to go to the iPhone because I was afraid that the apps.
you can't say that out loud.
I know, but I'm talking about.
They're actually coming back though.
And I'm actually
coming back.
I'm actually planning on buying a couple burner phones. So at any rate, the
All right, Walter White.
Yeah.
I stayed on them as long as I could, because I saw how they were affecting my kids and my wife and stuff that were on them at the time frame. And I'm like, I don't want to be on it. And then I started noticing that my daughters would show photos of family, and I'd be like, well, I haven't seen that. And they go, that's because you're not on, Instagram or you're not on Facebook. And I'm like, crap.
Yeah.
So then I got on there, and then I started finding, Army buddies and family members that I hadn't spoke to in 15 years and all of that. But what did any of that honestly really fully enrich my life and on a day-to-day basis make me a better human being?
No, it's a temporary fix.
It's a dopamine kick.
But it's like any other drug. You need it again and again. And so, hey, I haven't talked to this person in 10 years, and you talk to them, and that's cool for 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
Are you talking to them now? No, you need that new,
Yeah.
right? It's,
Well, not only that, but I think it replaces communication, because, I don't need to pick up the phone and call you, even though you're somebody that when I do pick up the phone, we'll catch up and act like we've never not been in communication. But I also feel good that, I can see the photos of your travel, and you and your wife went to whatever, and, your kids, and hey, that's cool. You spent your Christmas, away. And so I feel like, well, I don't even have to reach out to you. I might just say Merry Christmas and we're good. Whereas otherwise, I hadn't heard from you in 6 months. I might, Instead of just seeing that you're good on Facebook, I may actually reach out to you a little bit more.
Because you get a false sense of security. Oh, he's posting great pictures.
Yeah.
He's got to be good.
it's passive communication through observation, aka voyeurism.
Yeah.
Stalking.
I mean, right?
Yeah, it is.
Even the way they changed social media. When Facebook first came out, you had to actively seek out someone's page. There was no feed. You had to search somebody and go to their page.
Yep.
There was no just like, hey, all of your friends are doing this.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just this constant like, oh, there's a lot of psychology that goes into it. It's built kind of the same way that slot machines are built, that kind of scroll thing and that dopamine thing. And
it goes quickly, slows down.
Yeah.
Goes quickly, slows down. All that said, life is great.
Mm-hmm.
I do zero comparison. I don't have to read, how everybody's a subject matter expert on the flavor of the month within our nation or within the world.
Yeah, I didn't realize how many air traffic controllers there were out there with
geopolitical experts.
Yeah.
I just don't. And through that, I've done a lot of learning. So that time that I spent scrolling, I'm now in Coursera and I'm doing certificate courses on Excel or data analytics. I'm doing things that are bettering me, my knowledge. And I'm also doing like just one-off, learning events for myself.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm really curious about this. How does a turbocharger work in a car? I've known that for a while, but I'm giving you an example. And then you go do the research and you're like, oh, wow, that's very interesting. And now you can speak intelligently about it instead of just talking about what some third or fourth person did on Facebook or.
Yeah. So my wife, and on her background, she put read instead.
Yeah.
So when she pulls up her phone, the first thing she sees is read instead, and she puts her phone back down, picks up a book.
So, Sarah reads. I used to read all the time.
Yeah.
But then I got bored because, social media.
Yeah.
Let's not get it twisted. Social media is very interesting. Right? There's some twisted stuff that goes on in there. And part of that comparison, and you're a liar if you don't admit to it, part of that comparison is being able to look at other stuff and going, man, I'm glad that's not me.
Yep.
It's human nature. We never want to be the lowest common denominator. So that's part of it. The other part of it is, man, I want to be that.
Yeah.
So long story long, as Kyle likes to say, when you wipe all that away, I have more appreciation of what I have now. And I'm playing less of this game of, I heard somebody say, I think I saw it in a meme.
Yeah.
That's, where it was like, remember that where you're at now is what you were hoping to be, years ago. Alluding to the fact that you shouldn't be trying to chase something else.
Yeah. So
I am chasing something. I'm chasing a degree. I'm chasing another degree. I'm chasing certificates. I'm chasing all these things. I'm doing it backwards. I told I run the senior population, which is a rank in EY. So I run the senior population for Georgia, Alabama assurance. It's audit, core audit. And then I've got all the levels up until, partner for Chicago real estate. And I like to, just kind of tell them that you got to focus on you. I mean, there's a standard to everything, but you just got to focus on you and what your thresholds are and where you're at. I was like, comparison is the killer of all joy.
Yeah. I tell that to my boys on a daily basis.
Yeah.
That's the thief of all joys if you compare yourself to somebody else.
Yeah. And so, and that's what a lot of these younger, like I said, the senior population does, is they look at it and they go, man, they look left and right and they compare themselves. They compare compensation. They compare jobs. They compare, and then I am the sergeant major kicks in, right? Instead of, strategic resource manager, I'm just, Sergeant Major Jarvis starts talking to him and said, okay, so if we're going to do the comparison game, let's compare performance.
Yeah.
Let's compare work ethic, right? You're comparing results. You're comparing, the pay, let's compare
the process. What process are you doing?
So if those are congruent, then you can start to go, oh, no, it's not fair. But, as I was telling my senior population also, when I first started, I was like, I started at EY. I'm doing everything backwards. I started at EY, so I didn't go absolutely crazy or drive Sarah crazy at the house.
Yeah.
It wasn't putting food on the table, right? It was just a way of bringing in some extra income and not going crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm in it because I want to be here. Oh, by the way, I'm going to go back to college, not because I need the degree. I already got the job. I'm not trying to take anybody's position.
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of where I'm at. And I've gotten so much more out of doing things because I want to do them, as opposed to doing things because that's the societal standard for meeting that next echelon of success, right? Hey, you got to go to school, you got to do well so you can get into college, so you can do well, and then you can get a job, and you can do well and get promoted. I've been through all that. Under pressure, under fire.
Yeah.
Right. And now I get to do it, and I'm just kind of, enjoying time. It's a 9-to-5 job-ish, but I don't work the union hours. I'll get on 8:30. I'll do some work. Maybe I'll stay on until 8 at night, not because I have to, because I want to. I'll do some college, It's beautiful. Feels great.
I think the way you did it, by shutting off the apps off your phone, even though you didn't close your accounts down all the way, like you said, stops you from being able to go immediately into it. You actually have to go through the browser. You've got to go back out there from the cloud and download the app once again.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's more challenging because of this podcast.
Yes.
There's things that I have to do.
Yeah.
And
I think we need to put you on a 30-minute rule. And
yes, Dad.
Yeah. I'm serious, Rob. You drive yourself crazy looking at views and likes and comments. And because we love y'all's views, likes, and comments. So please do that.
Yeah, stay on social media to see our stuff.
For our own sanity.
Yeah.
I think we have to, one, hold each other accountable to it, and two, like, an hour out of the day. I understand it's part of the business. So an hour out of the day, you can log in from your laptop and do everything you have to do. YouTube, SoundCloud, all that.
But let's get back to the point of, why we do stuff like this, right? I just told you, hey, I'm doing all this college because I want to, hey, Sean, how's that feed into social media? I'm not on it.
Yeah.
So that's how it feeds into it.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing. The tie-in is I'm not comparing myself. You've been doing this podcast because you enjoy doing it. Are there stressors? Of course there are, but you enjoy doing it. It's not putting food on the table. And so if you ever change your mindset, or if the reason why you're doing this podcast changes, it will be evident, right? But it's never been there. You're not getting paid for this. You come out of pocket. I've seen you come out of pocket. Yeah. I've come out of pocket. He hasn't.
Brandon, give Rob $50 right now.
Brandon off Brandon here.
Hey, Brandon off camera. Producer Brandon, what's up, man?
Here's my Venmo.
Yeah.
I didn't get rid of that. No, but
I'm doing this on my own dime.
Yeah. But I mean, the point being is that it's been a slow burn. It's been a slow grind. It's been a slow grow. But I think it's like working out properly.
Yeah.
You know, the muscles that you've built within this show are lasting, and they're going to last. And the audience that you have, it's going to last. You're not out here trying to rock the boat or do something fanatical to try to get this instantaneous population growth for Mentors for Military. You've kept it real. And so I love that aspect of it. Where he's coming from is that if you keep looking at all that stuff, we just don't want your mind to change to, you know, hey, we need to grow this, we need to grow.
We have to get into the cesspool with everybody.
No.
Because a couple of months ago, we got into the cesspool with everybody.
No bit. And that thing disappeared quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, and I felt really bad after that.
Yeah.
Not because we weren't in the right, which we were, but
it was weird how we were right.
We allowed ourselves to just get drug into that.
Yeah.
For an afternoon, because that's all it was. It was after lunch.
Literally an afternoon.
Yeah.
Right.
It took no time at all, and all three of us were ravenous wolves ready to just rip somebody apart.
Yeah.
Totally. Got on signal, so in private.
But here we are.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I just, that's why I appreciate about this. I don't listen to other podcasts. I really didn't listen to podcasts before this. It was like one-offs. Sean Ryan, I would listen to some one-offs because I knew a couple of the guys. There's some very interesting stories, but the rest of them, you know, it's okay. I didn't have to listen to it. I think everybody's listened to Joe Rogan once or twice, right? Really, no other I think there's the most I listened to was somebody that would read scary stories. They would help me fall asleep. It's a podcast, I guess.
Yeah.
So what got you listening to this podcast? So it was
this guy, but it's once again social media. So maybe there's the blessing. Before he asked me to come on, there's suggestions, there's stuff that he's posted. So I'd seen the podcast, and then he's like, "Hey, come on," and I'm like, "Oh, sweet." Because I'm not I wasn't a big podcast person. I never looked at how many views or how many, subscribers you had or anything else. I just appreciated the opportunity to be able to come on and talk about a story that I just hadn't been able to talk about with anybody. That's a nice thing about doing this, because it's a real conversation with people that I know, right?
Yep.
He brings me on. I respect the hell out of him. I respect the hell out of you. I hadn't known you at the time. But anybody who's a friend of Kyle's, obviously, right? It works like that. So, but then I saw how many views you were getting. I'm like, oh, I put all my business out there. It's easier now.
Yeah. Once you pull the Band-Aid,
a little more beard here, so it's it protects me. But it's just, we're doing this for the right reasons. I say we because
you're part of it.
Absolutely,
we're doing this for the right reasons, and I appreciate that. And there's a demographic out there that appreciates it as well. We're not chasing the flavor of the month.
No.
We're talking about things that affect people, most people, at least once.
Especially, I think, I'm sorry, Kyle, but I was going to say, especially I think veterans, because of, TBIs do affect the brain. I mean, I've got probably issues, post-traumatic stress. Those types of things creates that anxiety already that you don't want to then stay that hyper-vigilant fight or flight type of mode. And so I think what we're trying to address here, especially with around social media, is don't use those things that are really high sensory motors or drivers.
If you're stressed, take your shoes off and go outside. Stand in the grass. Don't get on social media.
Yeah.
So many other things to do.
social media has become the new cigarette,
Yes.
where people need something to do, so they're going to go smoke a cigarette. I can talk about it because I used to smoke, right? I smoked for double-digit years, and I quit in 2009 when I broke my neck. It took a medical professional and telling me to quit smoking, so I did. It's the new alcohol. It just, it can become a habit. Before, you're just on there for fun, you're looking around, then all of a sudden it's habitual. It's when you wake up in the morning, it's the first thing. You grab your phone and you're looking at it, and you got one eye open, and you're trying to scroll and look through and who's important, and you're just like, all right, right? We've all done it, or we're all doing it right now.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. I open up my phone and I look at my mail, which, email. I'm a little OCD, so I just don't like to see notifications. So I clear some things out, right? Make sure the money's good, right? Do a little bit of that online budgeting, and then I'm ready to go. I'm up and I'm at the computer. Lately, I've been burning the midnight oil, so I've been getting up a little later. But I've been playing with the dogs. That wasn't a thing. I think my guilty pleasure right now is so I have ADHD, right? Like for real. I'm the only guy that can take Adderall and not lose weight.
What's so funny about it is you're taking Adderall and then you drink what? How many Monsters a day?
Probably 2, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon.
You drank 2 last night just doing the podcast.
I drank 1 1/4.
Yeah, right in the middle of the show.
Yeah, do you see the look on my face when I opened that bad, Johnny?
Look right at it.
I was like, it was sensual. I'm that cat that can drink a coffee and fall asleep. It's really weird. My mind it's backwards. I take the Adderall and it completely levels me out. Most people take it and
we're not going to do a swing here and go from social media to Adderall.
No, not at all, not at all. In fact, I've lost my train of thought already. So here we are.
Man.
Well, let's take us home. So I think one of the biggest things is that what you're talking about is get your life back and get back to the mode where the things when you were a kid didn't matter the most, because if you can live that life as an adult, that's truly like La Dolce Vita. I mean, that's really living the good life.
Yeah.
And, having fun and everything. And you don't have all those additional stressors that you're placing on yourself, or what your friends are going through, or what somebody in Hollywood or somebody in a different country, or what could potentially happen, or whether or not the plastic you're putting in the microwave is going to kill you or give you a special cancer or whatever.
Yeah. And Kevin brought it up last night just through conversation. He didn't say anything specific, but he brought something out of me last night. So I went home and I was just overly excited to tell Sarah about his story. But I think the underlying, or maybe the overarching theme of what he was talking about is experience life. Like, I felt guilty leaving this office last night because I realized that he was living life.
Yeah.
And that I was going through the motions before, not now. Before, I was just going through the motions. This is the next logical step. And he's experiencing life. Is it dangerous? Yeah. But it's different. And none of it involved him talking about his phone. Right?
No.
I'll end with this. Time is a commodity that we can never get back.
Yeah.
Right? Other than the human capital, right? I think time is probably one of the most important aspects of life that we just squander.
Mm-hmm.
Every minute you spend on this thing is a minute that you're taking away from something else that you could be doing. I'm not saying it's better or it's worse, but just to put it in perspective, you could be talking to your spouse, you could be mentoring your children, you could be talking to soldiers, you could be whatever it is, wherever you're at in life, whatever the important things are, every minute you spend on here, you're neglecting whatever's over here.
Yeah.
And so take that for what it's worth, right? I'm getting my minutes back as much as I can. Do I have other vices? I do, right? That was part of the ADHD discussion. Am I on there playing these games where I have to match stuff? I do. I am. And maybe that's my next logical step, is to get away from games on my phone. But baby steps.